Cost of living is everything when moving to a new area. Whether you're moving because you want to or because you landed that new job, you really need to know how far your dollar is going to go. If you're moving to the Quad Cities, you're going to really want to watch this video because I'm going to open up my own accounts and show you exactly how much it costs to live in the Quad Cities. But first, hey, this is Alex Skeen, and if this is the first time to this channel and you want to know what it's like to work, eat, sleep, and play in the Quad Cities, you're really going to want to hit that subscribe button down below and click that notification bell to get notified every single time we upload a new video. And honestly, we get so many calls, texts, emails from folks like you who are either moving or relocating to the area, and we absolutely love it. So if that's you, give us a call, send us a text, heck, send the Pony Express if you want to. We're here for you. I have broken my costs up into 7 big categories, and I'm starting at the lowest amount and moving my way up to what costs me the most living right here in the Quad Cities. So if you really want to know what costs me the most, you're going to have to stick around till the end so that you really do understand what that cost of living actually is right here in the Quad Cities. Alright, so let's start off with my lowest amount, and that is actually my water bill. Now, you can see popping up on the screen here that my monthly bill is actually $35. Now this bill was for the October time frame, October-November time frame, and it is very dependent on my own usage. So, for example, I live with myself and just recently with my girlfriend, and we just have the one shower that we mainly use. Another shower is upstairs, but that's our main usage of water besides drinking water and cooking water. During the summer, it can get a little bit higher because I do have a garden, a vegetable garden, have my grass. Although I don't water my grass too often, I kind of let that go dormant. But it does creep up, and usually it gets up to about $37, $40, something like that. But overall, it stays pretty consistent around that $35 to $40 mark. So that is what you can expect when moving to the Quad Cities. It's serviced in most of the cities by American Water. Although if you do move here and you get into one of those cities that maybe American Water doesn't cover, you just have to take that into account that your bills may be a little bit different, but overall it's going to be about that amount. Now, my second biggest expense is actually my internet bill. Now this can vary depending on what company you go with. Currently, I go with Metronet, and as you can see on the screen, it is around $81. And what that gets me is 200 megabits upload and download because Metronet is actually a fiber network. And I said at the beginning that this can change varied on what company you choose. I've had CenturyLink in the past, I've had Metronet in the past, and I can tell you both of those are actually higher than this one. My most recent one was Mediacom, and I was getting about 50 megabits per second download, and it's something like 2 or 3 upload. Pretty slow compared to what I have now, and I was actually paying around $95 a month. So big difference. I recommend Metronet. I love it just as a personal customer, but that gives you an idea of what you can expect. With Metronet, there are no data caps, so that's what I get. What I pay for is the speed and no other unexpected bills coming from them as of now. So that is what you can expect. Alright, so number 3 on my list is actually gasoline. So bring into my life a little bit more. I am a real estate agent, and I drive around town quite often. I drive a 2011 Toyota Corolla, which is a tank, and I looked this up before taping this video, is about 13.2 gallons. And popping up on your screen right now is the latest transaction that I had. It comes out to about $27 to fill up my tank, and that basically was from complete empty. Now this variable is variable on where you're at in the Quad Cities, specifically around what state you're in. Iowa typically is going to be much cheaper, and that's where I got this gasoline. and it depends on what time of year. So I'm gonna pop up on the screen now what I paid back in September for the same tank of gas. It was about $40 or $39 and some change. Now, what does that come out to be as far as price per gallon? I wasn't gonna do this, but let me do a little on-screen math for you. So if my tank is 13.2 gallons, I paid $39. Let me just put it into my computer here. That comes out to be about $2.95 per gallon of what I paid back in September. It's a little cheaper now, but that gives you a little perspective on what you can expect in the Quad Cities as of, the taping of this video. Who knows what it's going to be in the future, but that is what it is currently. All right, so number 4 on my list, I absolutely love because I love to eat. Now, food costs can get kind of hefty depending on what your family is like. I'm a single guy. I recently had my girlfriend move in, but we're just 2 people living in the same house and, eating food all the time. That doesn't mean that my budget is super high on this. I spend about $300 per month to get what I need. Now, I like to try different things. I'm not just buying the basics, but it gives you an idea of what you can expect when going to the grocery store. Although inflation is happening every single day and prices do increase over time. So keep that in mind when moving here. But for a single guy in the Quad Cities, you can expect 300, maybe 4. And if you go out a lot, that's the other thing, is I don't go out and eat a lot. Maybe $500, $600 if you do go out and eat a lot, because it can get quite expensive very quickly when you are trying to eat out all the time. All right, so our next thing that we're going to be talking about is my garbage and sewer costs. Now, this is very dependent on the city that you're living in. I live in Bettendorf, so this is what you can expect with Bettendorf. They charge on a quarterly basis, and as you can see popping up on your screen right now, that it costs me about $112 for my sewer and my garbage. Now, the garbage is variable, and it depends on how much or how big of garbage can that you want. I have the smallest one on a quarterly basis, about $43. You can get larger ones, and it all depends on how much garbage you're going to produce. If you have a family of 4, I'd recommend going with a much larger one. But if not, get the smallest one you can get so that you don't have to pay as much if money is a concern for you. And then on the sewer side, they do measure how much usage you have on that, so it is dependent on your usage on that as well. But it gives you an idea of what it does cost to have sewer and garbage taken care of. And again, it's dependent on the city, so look into it before you get here. This area, it's not going to vary a whole lot, but it will vary depending on the city. Now, the next cost is my next largest, but it's also my most variable, and that is gas and electric. I get my gas and electric through Mid-American Energy, although not every city in the Quad Cities has their electric and gas through Mid-American. Most of them do, but not all of them, so keep that in mind. As you can see on the screen here, I've given you a breakdown of the last 12 months of my utilities, and it varies quite a bit. Most of the time it's variable on the season. In the winter time, I'm going to be using a lot more natural gas to heat my home, and you can see that in, say, last February, it almost was $400, which is crazy. I only live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,400 square feet home. Granted, it was built in the 1940s. The insulation is not the best. And if you are somebody that knows how to insulate a house, put a comment down below. I want to know how I can do it without maybe taking out all my walls. But I digress on that. It is, that $400 was last February, but you can see the last couple months, it wasn't even $100. So it's very variable on what you use and the time of season. If it's super hot out during the summer, if it's super cold out during the winter, you're gonna have big swings in that. Now, I know Mid-American offers a budgeting system where they will take the average of the whole year, and then you kind of know what it's going to cost you. I personally like to be able to control my own. If I don't need to have it on, I won't. and I can save a little money that way, but it depends on your situation on what you want to do as far as those utilities go. Now, thanks for sticking around, and we're almost to the biggest item that I spend money on. And if you're getting some use out of this, or this information is useful for you, hit that like button, because this was a little bit nerve-wracking for me to open up my own expenses to you, but I want to let you know exactly what it is like to live in the Quad Cities and spend in the Quad Cities. So if you really like this video, hit that like button so I know and I can make more videos like this. Now, my largest expense, and the largest expense for most people, is your living expense, more specifically your housing. Now, I do own my own home. I bought it in 2017 for $165,000. I got a 4% interest rate, and that makes my monthly bill about $1,100 per month. Now, what I get with that is obviously the home, but it also pays off. It pays the principal, it pays my taxes, it pays the interest rate, and it pays the insurance for it. So it does encompass all of that. Now, your living expense is always relative. So if you're coming from a place like, the East Coast or the West Coast, you got to keep in mind that the Quad Cities is going to be a little cheaper. The average home, say a 3-bedroom, 2-bath nowadays, is going to be about $220,000. We've had the same appreciation that most of the real estate markets have had in the country. When COVID hit in 2020, 2021, the beginning of 2022, the prices really inflated since I purchased. But in general, it's going to be cheaper than on the East Coast or West Coast. So keep that in mind. But if you really want to know what the cost of living is, well, check out this video, because I go over what the cost of living is in Davenport specifically, and it's going to give you a lot more information.